Our next speaker is somebody who I got a chance to meet in probably the best fashion I could imagine, virtual, because it's what we're all dealing with right now. Met him on LinkedIn, has an amazing presence, a really amazing platform, and he and I were able to build a good connection. So it is my pleasure to introduce Jacob Brown as our next speaker. Jacob is a former professional athlete turned businessman, entrepreneur, and inspirational speaker. Jacob, born in Saginaw, Michigan, was a two-time team captain of his college football team at Central Michigan University and is currently the creative manager of General RV. He's a family man, a husband of one, and a father of four. And my little plug, Jacob, you and I are both Saginaw born, so I think you're a little bit better even because of that now that I know that. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jacob Brown.
Thank you, Jason. Guys, I am so excited, and I have been very excited to speak to you today. That was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate just the welcome that you guys have. This seems like a really fun group. I've only been on for about 45 minutes now, but you guys are having a lot of fun, and I love that. I love it a lot. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about failing forward and empowering others. That is something that I do literally every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of every year that I can think of. And it's something I'm going to continue to do. And I'm hopeful that something I do and something I say today is going to help somebody, and it's going to empower someone to take a lead, you know. So that's kind of my quick pitch. So I'm just going to walk you guys through really quick. I call this my virtual leadership workshop. It's not really a workshop, but I had to put some sort of name to it. So here's the game plan. So the game plan, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about who I am. We're going to talk about what fail forward is. We're going to do a quick icebreaker right before we do the breakout session where we find our core values. And then we're going to have the breakout session. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about visualizing success. All right. So who is this guy, Jacob Brown? So first and foremost, I'm a human being. That's the one thing that I always want people to look at me first. I grew up playing sports. I was an athlete, and a lot of people looked at me as an athlete or as some sort of star. And I never wanted to be that. I just wanted to be a human being. I am very down to earth. I'm a family person, and hopefully that comes across throughout the talk. I am a former athlete. I played 5 years at Central Michigan University, went on to the NFL, went to the Oakland Raiders. Very short stint. I'll talk to you guys about that in a few. I am a speaker. So I've done quite a few guest speaking engagements. I'm very excited to be doing this one now. I actually am going to be doing a TED Talk next Wednesday for TEDx Detroit. I'm very excited about that. And hopefully you guys can tune in and check that out as well. I'm an entrepreneur. The true note, if someone says that they're an entrepreneur, is they have to have multiple failed businesses. So if they do not have multiple failed businesses, they're not really an entrepreneur. And here are some of my failed businesses. Guys, this is only like half, right? And I will talk to you about these things. Noise, Keep Michigan Working, Pinterest, Start Mich. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that later. But the true test of an entrepreneur is they got to have multiple failed businesses. So I'm an artistic nerd. So I grew up drawing. This is kind of how I got into my career. I grew up drawing, painting. That turned into graphic and web design, which ultimately turned into what I do now, which I'm the creative and brand manager for General RV. Also own my own web design and branding agency as well, Optimize. I'm a husband. This is my wife, Kimberly, and I. The funny thing about 2015, when we got married, it had not snowed all year. Hadn't snowed all year. Here comes November 21st, and we get 11.5 inches of downpour. And we were so afraid that we were going to have to cancel our wedding because no one was ready for this snow. But this is us having fun, regardless of the snow outside of the church right after we got married. And I thought it was a beautiful wedding. I'm a father. I have 2 older boys, Caden and Connor, and we have 2 younger kids, Noah and August. They're 13, 11, almost 4, and just turned 1. This is who I am, guys. This is Jacob Brown in the purest form. Hopefully you see the human being that I am. What is fail forward? So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about fail forward. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you follow me on Facebook, wherever, I have a drum beat of hashtag fail forward, right? I tell short stories about things that I've gone through in life, things that I've done in life, my failures, my accomplishments. And I always want to keep pushing people to fail forward. This is the way that I empower my friends, my family, my colleagues, my employees, even my boss. This is the way that I do it, and it's through failing forward. So what's failing forward? Failing forward in a nutshell means to use the failure and the adversity that we go through, we're going to inevitably go through, and the hard times, to learn lessons, to grow thicker skin, and ultimately to help others. That is what failing forward means. And to me, it is a way of life. So I'm going to stop my screen share real quick. Hopefully everybody can see me. What is failing forward? So back in 2006, I was getting ready to go into the NFL. So I'm down in Miami and I'm training for the NFL. And I go to my aunt's house, who lives in Atlanta. Went up to visit her, and she's my dad's oldest sister. And she asked me, she says, Jake, so what happens if football doesn't work out? Here I am, a 22-year-old kid, and all I'd known my whole life was football, right? My Uncle Monty played in 2 Super Bowls. He was in the NFL for 6 years. He went on to wrestle in the WWE. I've got a younger brother that's 2 years behind me, getting ready to go to the NFL. There's no way that anyone could tell me at that point that the NFL wasn't going to work out, or that football wasn't going to work out. But as we grow, we learn things don't always work out, and that's okay. Well, at that point, I told her, well, you know, I'm going to school for graphic and web design. You know, if something happens, I'll just fall back on that, right? Fall back on my degree. And she's like, Jake, you can't fall back on anything. If you're ever going to fall, if you're ever going to fail, you need to fail forward. You have to fail forward. And when she told me that, I was kind of like, duh. What do you? That is the most simple thing that I've ever heard. And the funny thing about it is in football, whenever a player tries to run and catch a pass or run a touchdown and they get tackled, in essence, they failed, right? They're trying to score a touchdown and they failed because they got tackled. Well, they always teach us in football, if you are going to get tackled, always fall forward, never fall backwards, because that is the difference in winning and losing. Football is a game of inches. So if you fall forward, even if you get tackled, you might get tackled on the 1 yard line, you fall forward and you still score, right? So this is something that I took from that day on, and had no idea that 3 months later, I'd get cut by the Oakland Raiders. And there's a lot of things that happened in that of why I got cut, and you know, just the devastation of the NFL and just the cutthroatness of it. But I had to look past that. I had to go forward. I came home. I went from running routes next to Randy Moss in 1 month. In the next month, I'm working for $9 an hour, working at a CNC plant in Wixom, Michigan. You talk about feeling like a failure. I was depressed for about 2.5 months because I felt like at that point, I was at the lowest point of my life. I went from playing in the NFL. I had a jersey, I had a helmet, I'm running routes next to Randy Moss, catching passes from Aaron Brooks. Like this is my dream. And in less than a month, I'm making ball bearings in a CNC machine. The funny thing about that job, and this is summer of 2006. Funny thing about that job is there was a guy that would always come in, and he worked in one of the machines next to me, and he was Australian. And every day he came in and he'd ask everyone, hey, how are you doing? How's everybody doing? And you say, we're good. And he'd say, oh, that's noise. And he was saying nice, but his Australian accent made it say noise, which is really funny because later on, I started building websites and I wanted to get into my industry, right? And I created what now is Optimize Agency, but back then it was Jacob Brown Designs, to gain experience. Everybody knows about coming out of college and you have no experience, but you want to get into your industry. Well, how do you gain that experience? Well, sometimes you have to create it. So what I did was I started to design and build websites, design and build logos on the side, and creating a portfolio to, in essence, get my first job. So literally, I did that for 2 years, worked at the CNC machine plant, got let go because of the economic downturn. I got another job. I worked 2 jobs. I worked at Orlicon Balzers and also at Staples, all while building websites and stuff on the side. Finally got my break and got my first job within the web design industry. If you remember the guy that said noise, I carried that with me. And this was around the same time in 2008. 2008 was when Facebook, everyone in Facebook was starting to leave because their parents were jumping on Facebook, right? And nobody wanted to be on Facebook with their parents. So I was like, well, I can create a website for other people that don't want to be on Facebook to go to. And I created a website called Noise. It was a social media platform. I launched it in 3.5 months. And within 2 weeks, there were 144,000 people on the website in 109 different countries. Had no idea the infrastructure that I needed to have for this website, and it crashed several times. I had no money. I was making $14.50 an hour in my first web design job, and I had no idea how to maintain this infrastructure, so I ultimately had to take it down. I felt like another failure. Got another job and built another website around 2012 called Keep Michigan Working. Keep Michigan Working was the time at that time our mayor or our governor would pound that message. We want to keep Michigan working. We want to keep Michigan working. Well, I wanted to help people find jobs, so I created a website called keepmichiganworking.com, where it was pulling from tons of different websites, APIs that were pulling in 90,000 jobs a day. And I was helping people find jobs. I run into the same exact problem that I had with Noise, and I had to take it down. Felt like another failure. This is also around the time where I got divorced back in 2012. And during this time, I lived homeless for about 3.5 months so I could pay my lawyer bill. I had to pay my lawyer bill. I wanted to make sure that I stayed in my children's life, and I needed to do whatever I could do. At this time, I'm making over $100,000, and I'm sleeping in an attic of one of my best friends. Went from the attic, and then I started to sleep in hotels for about 1.5 months until I could scrounge up enough money to get my first house. And it was after that I landed what I thought was my dream job, where I worked for 6.5 years, great agency in Dearborn, Michigan. And worked there for 6.5 years, launched great projects, did great things at the company, and then I chased the shiny penny and I left there to go to a company called General Motors. And I was at General Motors for 1.5 years before I realized that I was not living in my purpose. I was chasing the shiny penny. I wanted to get back to that star feeling of football. And I started to feel like I was getting there, but it's not where I wanted to be. It's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be helping people and doing the things that I'm doing now, speaking to people, helping people find the jobs that they want to find, helping people start the businesses that they want to start, and doing the things that I want to do in my life, and ultimately spending more time with my family instead of away from it. So here I am now, the creative manager for a large RV company, dealership, General RV, and I'm allowed to do the things that I'm doing now, empowering other people. I'm allowed to speak. I'm allowed to help as many people as I can. And I do that in my job. And I'm allowed to help carry the brand, which is something that I've always wanted to do. So guys, I'm going to jump back to my presentation. I'm going to need you guys to get a piece of paper, if you can. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to grab a sheet of paper and a pen. You're going to have to write something down. So we're gonna go through this really quick. So core values are something that we do and we live in. As I was giving that talk, there are things that I did and things that I activated going through the last 15 years of my life. And some of these core values are those things that I was activating, right? Influence, vision, accountability, authenticity, respect, empathy, adaptability, right? So we've got a ton of different words. And as you guys look at these words, I want you to write down 6 of these words that mean the most to you. 6 of these words that mean the most to you. And they don't have to be in any specific order. I just need you to write down six of these words that mean the most to you, the ones that you want to be remembered for when you leave a job, when you leave this earth. What are people going to say about you? What do you say about yourself? Okay, I'll give you guys about 20 seconds. 6 things that mean the most to you. What is important to you? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, pencils down. I feel like we're back in school, right? What means the most to you? What means the most to you? So I'm doing this exercise with you guys. So as we go through, here are my 6. I'm going to be transparent about what my 6 are. I want to be remembered as a person that has some influence, that does stuff for people. I want to be remembered as a man that has integrity. I want to be remembered as someone that's selfless. I will give the clothes off my back. Humility goes along with that. But ultimately, guys, I want to be remembered as someone that has empathy and resilience. I've gone through a lot of things in my life, but I'm not going to allow them to destroy me. And I'm also not going to hold grudges against people or things that may have tried to hurt me. I'm going to have empathy. I'm going to have resilience. Okay? Now, I want you guys to take those 6. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to keep 4. You're going to cross 2 off. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't think those are important, but I just need you to cross 2 off and leave your most important 4 there. Okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. So now you're left with 4. Okay? So I've gone from 6 down to 4. Here are my last 4 that I want to be known for. I want to be known as a man of integrity, selfless, resilient, and have empathy. Okay? Last time, you guys have 5 seconds to cross 2 more off. What 2 mean the most to you? 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone is left with 2. Everyone is left with 2. Now we started with 6 and now you're down to 2. When I asked you to cross those off, I'm pretty sure you guys had some anxiety crossing those off because you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know why you had to cross them off and you wanted to keep them, right? So at the end of the day, empathy and resilience is something that I want to be known for. Failing forward is both of these. Failing forward is both of these. I am a very empathetic person, and obviously I'm very resilient because I'm not going to allow something to destroy me that tried to, right? The core values that you chose are going to be those values that you lean heavily into when you're stressed, you lean heavily into when you're leading your team, when you're leading your family, and even when you're leading yourself. This selection process of eliminating these values that you cared about wasn't to minimize the importance of those values, but it was to force a decision without overthinking. The decisions that we make when we are most stressed, when we are hit by hard times, when we have the most pressure on us, are the ones that we're always going to lean into. These are our beliefs. These are our values. So I'm going to stop share, and I'd like to jump into our breakout sessions. Now, what I want you guys to do in your breakout sessions is I want everyone in the session to openly say what their 2 are. Tell your group what your 2 are and why you chose those. I know we're going to have some brave souls in this breakout session. tell your two and why you chose those. And I want you to think about why you chose those two and why you are constantly leaning into those two. Doesn't mean that you can't grow in any other area, but just think about those two core values that you lean into. All right, all right. I hope everyone enjoyed the quick breakout session, talking and hearing from your peers what their core values are and why they chose them. I'm gonna call on someone to kind of give us a quick 15 to 20 second what they learned and what also happened within their breakout session and how they might apply that to their life. So Brooke, if you can, Brooke Adams.
I say someone else had to unmute me. Hey, okay, so we, we didn't have a lot of overlap, and we only had one that was the same between two people. So that was kind of interesting. And I think, one of the bigger topics, or one of the bigger things that came out, is it was so easy to narrow it down to 6, or at least it seemed like it. But then as you got down to 4 and then 2, you started to think like, okay, what are the definitions of these words? And do they really define, who I am? And if I am, we always say, if someone says, oh, this is Brooke and she works Life Remodeled, are they saying that I'm selfless and have integrity after, they talk about me when they describe me? So like, what am I actually putting out to the world? And would other people view these two adjectives as who I am also? So it's a good discussion.
I love it. That's good. That is good. So like I said, I'm going to challenge you guys to continue to look at those values and look at all of the values. Look at those 6 that you chose and work on what you want to be known for. If you aren't happy with where you are right now. So the last portion of this, guys, and I'll be really quick, is visualizing success. So visualizing success. When I was in middle school and high school, my mom taught me to lay on my back and literally close my eyes and watch myself in my head score touchdowns, get A's and B's in class, do all of these things. It was the art of visualization. And this is something I still do to this day. I literally tell myself, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. I do it every day in my adult career. About 2 months ago, Henry Ford, great quote. Whether you think you can or think you cannot, you're right. I love that quote from Henry Ford. About 2 months ago, I shared this vision board with my friends and my family and everybody on Facebook. And on the vision board, my wife and I have been saving for the last 3 years, paid off about $85,000 worth of debt. And we are getting ready to buy our first brand new home within the next month. I am so excited about it. The house is the first thing on my vision board. On the far right is Belongo Bay. That's where my wife and I went to for our honeymoon 5 years ago. That is the U.S. Virgin Islands on St. Thomas. We loved it there, and I promised her at the end of our 5 year, which will be this November, we will go back to Belongo Bay. So we are going to be going back in January. The bottom right or the bottom left is a microphone. One thing that I wanted to challenge myself was to do more speaking engagements. And once I put this out there, Jason called me. I got another call from a lady at Facebook. I got an invitation to speak at the TEDx. And what I'm saying, guys, is the more that you share and be transparent with your peers, with your friends and family about what you want to do in life, they'll start to help you. And you're putting that vision out there and you're speaking it into existence. One thing that Chris Gardner says, he's the one that the Pursuit of Happiness is about. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. And guys, if you don't remember anything else that I've said today, I want you to remember to fail forward through life. Do not allow yourself to get down. Don't beat yourself up when you don't make things happen or when you lose a job or don't get the job. Continue to fail forward and push yourself and continue to speak what you seek until you see what you said. Thank you, guys. I've had fun today. Fail forward.
Love it. Jacob, thank you so much. Cannot tell you how much we appreciate you sharing your story. And for those of you who want to learn more about his story, his social platform is fantastic. I've been able to get a good idea of who Jacob is with just a couple of quick interactions and then following his presence online. So again, thank you, Jacob.